Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Bold and beautiful today. Ivy was hiding in the bushes. She was really upset. She went to talk to Miss Dillon about what she did with Will. They were at the beach house. Miss Dillon was embarrassed. Will said it was okay. He told her that she is a dancer but there is not enough space to do all the fancy moves. Later Miss Dillon checked on Hayes. Then she found Will outside taking a shower. Ivy went back to the bushes. Watched them talking. They were talking about Will going for a swim before bed. Will told Miss Dillon that the sharks are sleeping so she did not have to worry. Ivy was still watching Will and Miss Dillon from the bushes. She gives him his towel while Ivy stares at them. Then she keeps sneaking through the window when Dillon and Will go inside the house. They sit down. Will starts talking about what it was like when he was a kid in boarding school. He says his parents were always breaking up. Will tells them that his dad would leave his mom to be with his Aunt Brooke. Will gets a little teary. Sniffs. He says he knows his dad loves him. Dillon puts her hand on Will's hand to make him feel better. At the time Ivy looks really unhappy about what is happening. Will says he has not been able to talk to Electra about this. He starts crying. Says he always feels like he is a burden to Electra after everything he has done to her. Dillon feels sorry for Will. What Luna did to him was really bad. Messed up. Will says that Luna took advantage of him. They should all feel sorry for Electra. Will tells Dillon about what happened with Luna. He cannot believe that this crazy woman was going to have his baby. Will thinks it is just insane. He feels bad for Electra because of what she has been through with him. Dillon says she has dreams about what she did to Luna. She thinks about what would have happened if Luna was still going to have a baby and she had hurt the baby. Will tells Dillon that the baby was already gone. He wishes he could make her feel better about what she did. Will says that Luna was a bad person and he is happy that she is not around anymore. He is glad that Dillon is with him now. Outside the house Ivy is shaking her head because she does not like what is going on. Will tells Dillon that Finn is coming over in the morning to pick up Hayes. Dillon and someone else talk about how she needs to find a job. He says that Dillon is really easy to talk to and she is very patient. He also thinks she is great with kids. Dillon is a person too. Dillon is always up for trying things because she is a free spirit and likes to take risks. Will thinks it would be an idea for Dillon to go for a swim at night while he goes to check on Hayes. In San Francisco, Electra and Steffi are sitting around drinking wine. They start talking about Will. Dillon taking care of Hayes. Electra is sure the boy will have a time spending the night with her friend and her boyfriend. Electra says she has faith in Will and Dillon understands this. Electra does not think she needs to worry about this. She is worried about Will at his job. Steffi is surprised by what Electra is saying. Electra says that Will is a Spencer and with Katie leaving she is worried about his future at work. Steffi thinks that she might really like Will because she thinks it is great how much Electra supports Will. Electra supports Will. Steffi admires this about Electra and her feelings for Will. Dillon is now taking a shower outside at the beach house. Ivy has gone back into the bushes. Will gives Dillon a towel. Thinks she is really brave. Ivy is whispering in the bushes. Says this is not right at all. Will says thank you to Dillon for her help. Dillon tells Will that he can wake her up if Hayes wakes up. Dillon thinks Will is a guy and that he picks really great women. She says you are a lucky guy. Dillon and the others are smiling at each other like they are really happy. Dillon says that this has been a night to remember. Then Ivy says something under her breath in the bushes. She says if only you knew, Electra. On Steffi and Electra are talking about Will and Dillon again in San Francisco. Steffi wants to know if Electra is really okay with them taking care of Hayes. Electra says yes. This is a thing to do but it is fine for tonight. Ivy does not agree with Electra about this. Steffi chuckles that Ivy never holds back. In her room, Dillon is startled when Ivy walks in and remarks that she's surprised the door wasn't wide open with a red light on. She starts going on about her sweet, trusting niece being out of town while Dillon's making moves on Will. I saw everything, Miss Dillon. I know exactly what you're up to and it's not happening. I will not let you get away with trying to steal Electra's boyfriend. Will cries as Dillon comforts Ivy's bedroom ambush. Will Spencer. Dillon was there to comfort Will Spencer. Ivy Forrester saw a lot of things that she should not have seen, and then she did something about it. She set up a surprise in the bedroom. At the beach house, Dylan said sorry to Will Spencer after Dylan fell on top of Will Spencer. Will Spencer did not make a deal about it. He just said that the room was too small for dancing. That night, while Hayes Finnegan was sleeping, Will Spencer went for a swim in the water. When Will Spencer got out of the water, he was taking a shower outside. Then Dylan showed up. Dylan looked at Will without his shirt on for a while and then gave him a towel. She told him he should go for a swim at night. But Dylan was scared of sharks, so she decided to go inside with Will instead. This meant Will ended up sitting on the floor with Dylan. Dylan reached out to touch Will in a way because he was talking about some tough things. Will talked about how lonely he felt when he was at boarding school. He said it was really hard when his parents were fighting with each other. Will also talked about how Luna Nozawa had hurt him and how bad he felt about what he had done to Electra Forrester. He felt really terrible about everything. It was very hard for Will to talk to anyone about this stuff. Electra Forrester. Will was tired of feeling like he was a burden to Electra Forrester all the time. Dylan talked about how bad he felt when he hit Luna Nozawa and how awful it would have been if Luna Nozawa had still been pregnant. Will told Dylan that the baby was already gone before that happened, and that he was glad Luna Nozawa was not around anymore. Will was relieved that Luna Nozawa was gone. Will got really upset during this conversation, so he made a joke about Dylan becoming a therapist. Dylan played along. Said they could start a therapy business together, which made everyone laugh. This happened while Ivy was still sneaking around outside watching them. Ivy liked to hide in the bushes and spy on Dylan and Will when they were outside. Dylan finally got brave. Went for a night swim, which made Will really happy. Will was talking to Dylan while she was wearing her bathing suit. He was clearly pleased that she had faced her fear. Dylan and Will had a moment together. Dylan went up to the guest room for the night. She told Will he could call her if he needed anything because of Hayes. On Thursday's B&B episode, Dylan put on her pajamas, was brushing her hair. Then Ivy burst into the guest room. Ivy told Dylan she knew what she was doing, trying to get close to Will. Ivy said she saw everything that was going on and she was not going to let Dylan get away with trying to take Electra's boyfriend Will. Dylan was trying to steal Electra's boyfriend Will, and Ivy was not happy about it. In San Francisco with Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Electra expressed concern for Will Spencer's future at Forrester Creations, considering all the drama happening with Katie Logan Spencer at Logan. As for Dylan hanging out with Will due to the babysitting situation, Electra decided it'd be fine for one night. However, Electra knew Ivy wasn't happy about the news, so Steffi acknowledged that Ivy wasn't one to hold back. Dylan is not just hanging around Will anymore, she is really trying to get his attention. This all starts on an afternoon near the Spencer Beach house. It happens quietly at first. Ivy shows up without telling anyone she wants to think after a lot of stress with Electra, Will, and the weird feeling she has been getting about Dylan being around. Something makes Ivy want to go down the garden path. It is like a feeling that makes her walk slower, and then she hears people talking. Ivy sees something moving near the bushes by the patio. She stops fast, her heart is beating really hard, and she hides behind the bushes without even thinking about it. Then she sees something that makes her really angry. Dylan is standing close to Will. She is laughing in a voice and her hand is touching his arm. It is very clear what is going on. At first Will looks surprised, then he looks like he does not know what to do. Ivy is watching this. She is really scared. Dylan leans in close to Will. She flips her hair back. She says something to him. Ivy sees all of this. It is terrible. Dylan is being very friendly with Will. Ivy does not like it. She sees Dylan touching Will's arm and Will is not pulling away. Ivy is getting more and more angry as she watches Dylan and Will together. Ivy cannot hear, but she knows a way that this is someone trying to flirt with her. The more Ivy looks at this person, the more it makes her feel sick. Her nails are going into her hands because she is so upset. Ivy thinks this is not something that just happened by mistake. This is something that is being done on purpose. Dylan is doing this. She knows exactly what she is doing. Ivy is hiding behind the bushes. She sees Dylan moving closer to Will. Dylan is getting really close to Will. It is making Ivy very upset. Will tries to move from Dylan, but he does not try hard enough. This makes Ivy very angry. She wants to protect Electra. She wants to know the truth. Dylan is not respecting people's boundaries. This is making Ivy furious. Ivy thinks about all the time she ignored the signs that something was wrong with Dylan. She thinks about all the time she defended Dylan and told herself she was just being paranoid. Ivy is thinking about all these things. It is making her blood boil. She is very worried about what Dylan might do to Will and Electra. Ivy is sitting in the dirt hiding like she is sneaking around her family. She thinks to herself she was right all the time. This was not about being friends. This was about people trying to tempt her and manipulate her. They picked the right time to do it. When Dylan's fingers touch Will's chest and she laughs, Ivy has had enough. She walks out from behind the bushes. Her eyes are blazing with anger and the branches break under her feet. This makes Will, Dylan stop what they are doing and just stand there not moving. Ivy is really mad. She wants them to know that she sees what is going on with Ivy's friends, specifically with Dylan and Will, and Ivy is not happy about it. Ivy is really mad. What the hell do you think you are doing? She says loudly. Her voice is sharp. The ocean breeze is. Her voice cuts right through it. Dylan turns around fast. She looks shocked for a second before she tries to look calm. It is easy to see she is being defensive, like she is offended. Will looks scared like a deer that is caught in the middle of the road. You can tell he feels guilty. Ivy does not give Dylan, Will, a chance to say anything. Ivy walks up to Dylan, her finger right in Dylan's face, and she is really upset. Ivy tells Dylan that she did a bad thing, that Dylan knew Will already had a girlfriend, which is Electra, and Dylan still tried to get Will's attention. Dylan says Ivy is being dramatic and that she and Will were just having a conversation. Ivy does not believe Dylan and she laughs in a mean way, saying that Dylan is not telling the truth. Ivy thinks Dylan is being dishonest about what happened with Will, and Ivy is very angry with Dylan for what she did to Electra. She tells him what she saw, the way he touched her, how close he was, and what she thinks he was trying to do. This leaves Dylan with no way to deny what happened, no way to hide from the truth about his actions. Will tries to step, saying that he did not want this to happen, that it made him feel bad, but Ivy gets angry with him too. She is really disappointed in Will. That hurts him even more than her being mad. Ivy tells Will that not doing anything is also a decision, that not stopping it away is a kind of betrayal. What Ivy says really affects Will. He looks like he is falling apart because he knows that not saying anything has bad results. Will feels terrible because his silence has consequences, and Ivy's words make him realize that. Dylan is getting really upset and defensive. He stops pretending to be innocent. Yells back at Ivy. He says she is spying on him and that she is obsessed. He also says she is twisting everything to help Electra. This is when Ivy gets really mad. She tells Dylan that Electra was nice to her and trusted her. Ivy reminds Dylan that Electra was kind to her. Then she asks Dylan how he can repay Electra like this. Dylan is hanging around Will all the time, that things are getting tough. Ivy does not think this is right. Dylan is like a vulture waiting for something to happen to Will. The fight gets worse fast, with people yelling at each other. Years of feelings like being scared and jealous all come out at once. Ivy says Dylan always wants things that are not hers, and that Dylan likes it when things are crazy and everyone is paying attention to her. Dylan gets mad. Says Ivy does not know how it feels to always be second best. The argument is so loud that people inside the house start to notice. Soon everyone is paying attention to the fight. When Electra comes out because she heard all the yelling, everything changes away. Ivy and Dylan are still. Electra is now a part of it. The argument is about Ivy and Dylan and how they feel about each other. Ivy and Dylan are saying things that are hurtful, and it is clear that they are both very upset. Ivy's heart breaks over again. She knows she has to tell Electra the truth. She cannot do it gently or later. She has to do it now, after everything that has just happened, and she has been proven right about Electra. Ivy has to tell Electra the truth here. Electra's face falls when Ivy tells her what happened. Ivy's voice is shaking with anger and sadness. Electra looks at Will, at Dylan. She wants them to say it is not true. Will not look at her. That says a lot. Dylan tries to talk. Electra stops her. Electra's voice is shaking too. She wants to know how long this has been happening. She asks Dylan and Will how long they have been doing this thing that Ivy saw. Electra's voice is loud. She is very upset. She demands to know the truth from Dylan and Will. The sadness in Electra's eyes is really hard to see. Ivy moves closer to Electra. Ivy wants to be for Electra without saying a word. Electra is trying to deal with what's happening right now. It is not just about someone flirting with someone. It is about Electra trusting someone and that trust being broken in front of her. The fallout from what happened is immediate. It affects a lot of people. Electra storms away. She cannot breathe because she is so humiliated and heartbroken. Meanwhile, Will calls after Electra. He starts to panic when he realizes that the damage he did to Electra cannot be fixed. Ivy stays behind and she tells Dylan some things. Ivy makes it clear that she now sees Dylan for who Dylan really is. Not as someone who does not fit in, but as someone who chose to be selfish instead of being a decent person. Dylan is really. She feels completely exposed. Now she is quiet. The things she did are causing a lot of problems for her. It is all coming down on her right now. Dylan and her actions are having consequences that Dylan has to face. Ivy is standing there after everything that happened. She is really shaken up. She is also very determined. This big fight has changed a lot of things for her and the people around her. It has changed how people feel about each other and who they can really trust. On The Bold and the Beautiful, this is a moment that will change everything. Ivy caught Dylan doing something and now everyone knows the truth. She did not just see what he was doing, she made him tell everyone what was really going on. Now Will is going to be really upset. Electra is going to be very sad. This is also going to change how people see Dylan and how he fits into their lives. Ivy and the others will never see him in the way again. The Bold and the Beautiful is going to show how all of this affects them. And as secrets give way to consequences, one thing is certain. Nothing will ever be the same again. What happens after Ivy's big fight does not go away quietly. It is like a fire that spreads really fast, making people feel strong emotions and making them choose sides. It also makes people tell secrets that they had been hiding for a time all over Los Angeles. After the fight at the beach house, everyone is really tense. It feels like the tension is in the air, making it hard for people to breathe. Ivy can still feel her heart beating fast as she walks back and forth thinking about what she saw behind the bushes. She keeps thinking about every second of what happened. Ivy is still thinking about the fight. What she saw behind the bushes, and it is really bothering her. Dylan's hand was still on Will. That is what Ivy keeps thinking about. The way Dylan was sitting close to Will, that is really intimate. You can tell by looking at Dylan's eyes what she wants. Ivy cannot stop thinking about all of this. Dylan crossed the line with Will. She did it on purpose. Dylan does not seem to care what people think. Now Dylan and Will have to deal with what happens because of what Dylan did with Will. Electra is really hurting now. She has closed herself off. Does not want to talk to anyone. This silence is actually saying a lot more than if she was screaming at the top of her lungs. What Will did was bad. What Dylan did was even worse because she did it on purpose. Electra thought Dylan was her friend. She stood up for Dylan. She let Dylan into her life. Now Electra feels like she has been taken advantage of, and that feeling is not going away. It is making her feel sad and also confused. Electra is starting to wonder about things that happened before. She is thinking about conversations that she ignored, looks that she did not pay attention to, and tense moments that she told herself were no deal. Electra is questioning everything about Dylan and their friendship. The thing that Electra trusted about Dylan is now the thing that is hurting her the most. Now everything is clear to me. Understanding the situation is actually more painful than knowing the truth about it. The truth itself is tough. Realizing what the truth about the situation really means is even harder to deal with. Will spends the night feeling really bad. He is stuck between feeling guilty and being scared. He keeps telling himself that he did not cheat on anyone. It does not sound right even to himself. He remembers what Ivy said, that not doing anything is still a choice. Will knows that he should have stopped Dylan away. He should have just walked away. He should have told Electra what happened as soon as possible. But Will did not do any of those things. He just stood there. Now his relationship with Electra is falling apart. Will thinks about Electra and what he did. He knows that he made a mistake by not being honest with Electra. When the morning comes, Will sees that this is not about fixing things with people who trust him. It is about looking at the parts of himself that let this bad situation happen. The thought of doing this really scares Will. He is afraid of what he might find out about himself. Will has to think about the things he did that made this situation possible. Dylan is feeling really alone and scared. She gets angry and defensive when things get tough. Dylan tells herself that Ivy did something to her that Electra got too upset and that Will was not clear about what he wanted. Dylan says these things so she does not have to think about what she did wrong. Deep down Dylan is afraid. She knows she did something that she